I just finished scouring the outdoor retailer show where brands are showcasing a bunch of different backpacking, hiking, and camping gear. And I think I found the best and the worst gear that the show has to offer. We're gonna start off by talking about the best gear, and then we're gonna get into the worst gear. And let me tell you, there are some doozies. The first item is a mosquito repellent and lantern from Flextail. So Flextail makes the tiny pump, which I love for inflating my sleeping pad. With this little guy, you use cartridges in order to create a dome of mosquito repellency. On low setting, you get about 10 feet of mosquito repellency, and then on high setting, you get 30 feet. So you get pretty good distance with this in a very lightweight, small package. And then when you set this on a picnic table or something, you can also use it with the lantern feature. So really cool feature, and it's what's starting us off on the best gear from the outdoor retailer show. The second item is something that I've seen before, and it's ice cleats from Snowline. I knew Snowline made ice cleats, but they're kind of hard to find in North America. But what I found out that's really cool about them is not only do they have a really good variety of high-end ice cleats, but they make the ice cleats for the majority of companies out there. So if you see a pair of ice cleats, it's probably coming from their factory because they have the patent on the manufacturing for that product. I'm gonna dig into that a little bit more just to make sure that it's factual information. But if it's true, that's kind of crazy and a really big reason to probably just go straight to Snowline for buying ice cleats. Next item is a new lightweight game from Outside Inside. Outside Inside makes some of my favorite games like backcountry cribbage and backcountry bocce, games that are light enough that you can bring them on a backpacking trip and it's not gonna add too much weight to your pack. With this one, it's a little bit heavier, but still surprisingly lightweight, and it's axe throwing. So you just take these axes, they have Velcro on them, you throw them at this target that you can hang up in a tree. I'm using the line from my Ursack right now, and then you can just throw axes at the target. It's a lot of fun. I'm out here with Steven from My Life Outdoors, and we've been having a little bit of a competition to see who is the best axe thrower. I'll have links to the axe throwing game as well as my other favorite games and all of the gear that we're talking about today. If it's released, some of this gear is unreleased and is coming out in 2024, but you can check out the video description and it'll have all those links. The next item is less of a product or piece of gear and more of a technology, and it's Aerogel infused foam from a company called Solar Core. So what this does is it takes Aerogel, which is an insulation developed by NASA, and then it incorporates it into foam. And what's really good about this is that it works extremely well under compression. So if you take another piece of foam, put it on a cold plate, and then apply pressure to that foam, you're gonna start feeling the cold after several seconds. With this Aerogel infused foam from Solar Core, you can put your hand on this foam and not feel cold coming up through the plate for a very long time. Where I see this being very useful is in footwear for wintertime, and especially for expedition booties. I love my expedition booties from Mountain Equipment Co-op, but I find that I'm feeling cold coming up through them quite often, and then my feet are getting cold. So I think this Aerogel infused foam would solve that problem and be a really cool thing to have in these Canadian winters where it's getting down to minus 30, minus 40 degrees. The fifth thing is, again, not necessarily a piece of gear, but technology, and that's PFast-free DWR treatments from Nikwax. This is gear that's made more for manufacturers like Outdoor Research in order to incorporate into their products at the factory, but being PFAS-free is a really big deal. Currently, most DWR treatments use a C6 DWR, which is not going to break down very quickly in the environment. We moved from C8 DWRs, which pretty much never broke down. Those were very bad for the environment. But it's cool to see that we're going down to a PFAS-free, no C6, no C8 DWR treatment. Let's move on to the worst gear that I saw at Outdoor Retailer. There's a lot of really kind of just ridiculous things that I saw and items that may seem cool on the surface, but are probably just not ever going to be needed by anybody. The first one is pickle juice. So you may have heard of this as something that is used to help cramping and as an electrolyte supplement. I'm not convinced. I'm gonna try it out. I don't cramp up very often because I take hydration very seriously and I'm always making sure I have enough electrolytes coming into my body. But what this is like kind of like a shot of pickle juice and electrolytes in order to prevent cramping and then get your electrolytes up very quickly. But based on my knowledge of electrolyte supplementation, you wanna be sipping electrolytes with water, otherwise it's just gonna get peed right out. This little bottle here has 470 milligrams of sodium, which is a ton, and you're just getting it in one little shot. I think this would be a more effective thing and supplement if you're kind of mixing it in with a liter of water and then drinking it slowly. So yeah, just not completely convinced about pickle juice. If you've used this, let me know in the comments and let me know whether it worked for you. Another thing are battery banks. I don't know what it is about everyone and their dog making a car camping or van life battery bank, these giant battery banks that have tons and tons of power. Every company seems to have one, but I'm not sure that they're super useful for the majority of people out there. Phones these days have a lot of battery life. You can bring little portable battery banks that are going to last you probably a week to keep your phone and other little doodads charged. So unless you're bringing out an Xbox and a TV, they're probably not going to be very useful for a lot of people. So I'm not sure why every company under the sun is making one. This next product is from a brand that I love. So I'm sorry, Enlighten Equipment, for having the Outcast jacket on this list. The Outcast jacket is a variation of the Torrid Apex jacket that I love. It's a very lightweight, warm, synthetic jacket. But what they did with the Outcast is they added a bunch of features, made it a little bit better for everyday use and lifestyle use. So if you're heading to the grocery store or something, you're not going to look like you're wearing an insulated trash bag. And well, that's going to be great for a lot of people. It's not for me, and I rather just grab something else for heading to the store. And it weighs a couple ounces more than the Torrid Apex. So I'm not going to be using it. I could see how some people might like it, especially if you want an insulated jacket that you can take from going to the grocery store all the way to car camping. But for the majority of backpackers and hikers out there, I think they're probably going to be wanting to stick with the Torrid Apex. Another one from a brand that we've actually already talked about, Flextail. They made the little mosquito repellent thing that we talked about for the best gear list, is a pillow from Flextail. Flextail made a pillow with a wedge shape to it. And as you guys know from my review of a Trekology pillow that was wedge shaped, I do not like that. I find it just kind of kinks my neck weird, whether I'm using it with the thick end towards my shoulder or away from the shoulder. It just doesn't work for me. It does have a pad strap, which is great. It has a removable pillowcase, which is great. It's very kind of soft and comfortable to the feel, but then you get that wedge shape to it and it just kind of throws all the good things out the window. And then there are two items that I'm not sure if they're good or if they're bad. One of them is this little contraption that you attach onto plastic water bottles, kind of like a portable bidet like the Kula Clean. But what this one has is a little squirter, just like you would have with a backcountry bidet. But then it also has a soap dispenser. You can put any sort of foaming soap in here and then press the button and it's gonna dispense soap. It's made for washing your hands. So you squirt some soap on your hands and then squirt the water on. You can wash them up really good. But I might try this as a backcountry bidet just because it is nice to have that little soap dispenser on there in order to wash up down there as well as my hands afterwards. So yeah, not sure if this is good or bad. It's fairly lightweight and like I said, attaches to any sort of standard plastic water bottle. The other one I'm not sure about is a snow scooter. So this is kind of like a snowmobile meets a scooter. You have a track in the back and then a little ski up front. They said that it can go in up to 1 foot of fresh snow. I'll believe that when I see it. I think most of the time you're probably be wanting to take it on groomed trails, but it's kind of a neat little device that you might have a lot of fun with if you are in an area that has a lot of groomed trails for things like snowmobiles. Again, not sure if it's great, not sure if it's bad. Time will tell. Maybe they'll send me one, I can get my hands on one and then let you guys know. If talking about bidets and that sort of thing intrigued you, go check out this video right up here where I talk about my entire poop system. Everything from how to dig the hole, pooping into the hole, covering it up, and then cleaning up down there and then washing your hands. I go through all of that and I think it's the best system out there. I use it all the time now and it keeps everything nice and clean, fresh, and I'm feeling a lot better on trail since I switched over to it.